Carter G. Woodson traveled from Washington, D.C. to participate in a national celebration of the 15th anniversary of the Emancipation Proclamation, sponsored by the state of Illinois. Thousands of African Americans traveled from across the country to see exhibits highlighting their progress their people had made since the destruction of slavery. Woodson decided to form an organization to promote the scientific study of Black life and history before leaving town on September 9th. Woodson met with, Woodson chose February for reasons of tradition and reform. It is commonly said that Woodson selected February to encompass the birthdays of two Americans who played a prominent role in shaping Black history, namely Abraham Lincoln and Frederick Douglass, whose birthdays are on the 12th and 14th of February. More importantly, he chose them for reasons of tradition. Since Lincoln's assassination in 1865, the Black community, along with other Republicans, had been celebrating the fallen President's Day. And since the late 1890s, Black communities across the country have been celebrating Douglass. Well aware of the pre-existing celebration, Woodson built Negro History Week around traditional days of commemorating the Black past. He was asking the public to extend their study of Black history, not to create a new tradition. In doing so, he increased his chances for success. However, February has much more than Douglass and Lincoln to show for the significance in Black American history. For example, February 23rd, 1868, W.E.B. Du Bois, important civil rights leader and co-founder of the NAACP, was born. On February 3rd, 1870, the 15th Amendment was passed, granting Blacks the right to vote. And on February 25th, 1870, the first Black U.S. Senator, Hiram R. Revels, took his oath of office.
On February 12, 1909, the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, or the NAACP, was founded by a group of concerned Black and white citizens in New York City. February 1st, 1960, in what could become a civil rights movement milestone, a group of Black Greensboro, North Carolina college students began to sit in at a segregated Woolworth's lunch counter. On February 21st, 1965, Malcolm X, the militant leader who promoted Black nationalism, was shot to death by 3 Black Muslims. As Shelley mentioned, Carter G. Woodson is the person who founded Black History Month. It was about 50 years after the abolition of slavery. And like she also mentioned, it started off as Negro History Week, but it wasn't really recognized as a holiday until President Ford in 1976 decided that it would be a national holiday in America. And since then, every president has recognized it. And what President Gerald Ford had to say was that he was calling on the public to seize the opportunity to honor the too often neglected accomplishments of Black Americans in every area of endeavor throughout our history. Also, I thought it was a really cool fact that not only America has a Black History Month, like other countries like Canada and Australia, I think it was, they also celebrate Black history.
Today we will explore biographies of those who have made it possible for us to not only be anything that we set our minds to do, but also do the things that they said we could never do. So sit back and enjoy the show.
All right.
Hi. Hi. You say you want to call me Dad. You're going to call me Dad. Ha. Okay. Say, welcome to our poetry program. Who am I? I was born January 15, 1929. I led the civil rights movement. I wrote the I Have a Dream speech. Who am I? I am Martin Luther King Jr.
All right.
I was born on April 27, 1927, an American author, activist, and civil rights leader. I helped to lead the African American civil rights movement in the 1960s. a graduate of Antioch Church in Yellow Springs, Ohio, in music and education. I worked tirelessly side by side with the most influential man of all times, who became my husband on June 18, 1953 in Boston until his death on April 4, 1968. Channeling my grief, I concentrated on fulfilling his work by building the Martin Luther King Jr. Center for Nonviolent Social Change as a living memorial of his life and dream, with many books of my own and so many accomplishments until his death, January 30, 2006. Who am I? I am Coretta Scott King.
Who am I? Born into slavery in Dorchester County, Maryland. I was a political activist that made 13 missions after my escape in 1849 in the North. I was known as the conductor on the Underground Railroad. I risked my life to lead hundreds of families from the plantation system to freedom. I also helped the Union Army during the Civil War, working as a spy, among other roles such as cook and nurse. My other names were Nancy and Moses. Who am I? I am Harriet Tubman. I was born January 29, 1954, an American media prosperous talk show host, actress, producer, and philanthropist. I was dubbed Queen of All Men and been ranked the richest African American of the 20th century, the greatest black philanthropist in American history, and is currently North America's only black billionaire. I am also registered as the most influential woman in the world. I was awarded in 2013 the Presidential Medal of Freedom by President Obama and honorable doctorate degrees from Duke and Harvard University. Who am I? I am Oprah Winfrey.
The first black Major League Baseball player. Who am I? Jackie Robinson.
Who am I? I was born August 23rd, 1978 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, son of Pamela Cox Bryant and Joe Bryant, who played professional basketball for the Philadelphia 76ers. My father left the NBA and moved us to Italy to play for the Italian League. I quickly adapted and learned to speak Italian and Spanish fluently. It was said I would be a soccer player. In 1991, we returned to the United States when I attended Lower Merion Institutes. At 17, I signed a $3.5 million NBA contract per season. My second season, I was being compared to Michael Jordan. I managed to win 5 NBA Final championships. Owner of the Italian basketball team, Adecco Milano. One of my great ambitions was to be the leader of the Los Angeles Lakers. In my free time, I write letters and poems. In 2001, I married Vanessa Lane, father of 4 daughters, Capri, Gianna, Natalia, and Bianca. Who am I? I am Kobe Bryant.
Who am I? Born on May 19, 1925, in Omaha, Nebraska. Mother Louise Norton, father Earl Little, who was an avid supporter of the Black Historianalis. Leader Marcus Garley, I because an American Muslim minister and human rights activist during the Civil Rights Movement. I advocated for both the establishment of a separate black community rather than integration, and the use of violence and self-defense rather than non-violence. My surname, because X as Little was considered a slave name. The X son signify the last name. Who am I? I am Malcolm X.
I was born November 20th, 1965. A 1984 graduate of Stephen F. Austin in Port Arthur, Texas. My football jersey was retired after running over 2,100 yards in a single season. My record has held for over 20 years until broken by Port Arthur's very own Jamal Charles. I attended McNeese State University, where I earned Rookie of the Year. During my freshman year, my senior year, I was named McNeese Most Valuable Player. For the past 27 years, I have been employed with Drainage District 7, where I am the construction owner of Maxio Construction. Recently, I received my associate's degree in technology from the Rock School of Theology. Who am I? I'm Minister Brown.
Right.
I was born February 13, 1913. An African-American civil rights activist, won the United States Congress, called the First Lady of Civil Rights and the Mother of the Freedom Movement. On December 1st, 1955, at the age of 42, I worked as a seamstress and got on the bus to go home from work. And that day, I sat near the middle of the bus, just behind the 10 seats reserved for whites. Soon all the seats were filled. When a white man entered the bus, the driver insisted that all 4 blacks sitting just behind the white section give up their seats so that the man could sit. I was an active member of the local NAACP, and I quietly refused to give up my seat. I knew that day I had the strength of my ancestors with me, and America would never be the same. Who am I? I am Rosa Parks. Who am I? Born December 20, 1961 to Vera Carter and Lloyd Walker. Graduate of Lincoln High School, class of 1980. Graduate of Lamar University and University of Phoenix with a bachelor's degree in business Education. Married Glenn E. Alexander in 1986, mother of 4 children. Yashara Glenn II, Yashel, and Yashandi, proud grandmother to Jordan Denise Blue. Doctorate in Divinity, former director of the Pulaski Health Department, co-owner of Les Infant Child Care Academy and Alexander Child Services, co-pastor of Rock Ministry International and the best church on this side of heaven. Who am I? Pastor Yoshi D. Tidino Alexander.
Who am I? Born January the 6th, 1946 to Sultan Alexander and Leola Polidor. Graduate of Lincoln High School class of 1964. Two-time graduate of Prairie View A&M University with a Bachelor's of Science in Nursing. Graduate of Texas Women's University Leith with a registered nursing degree and one of the few certified nurse practitioners in Texas, first Black in the region. Doctorate in Divinity. Married Yoshi Tizino in 1986. Father of 4 children, Yoshara, Glenn II, Yoshel, and Yoshander. Grandparent of Jordan Denise Ballou. Father-in-law of Justin Ballou. Owner of Alexander's Children's Services and Les Infant Child Care Academy. Apostle and senior pastor of Rock Ministries International. Who am I? Apostle Glenn E. Alexander.